So I want to share all the things that have worked well for me in the last couple weeks on LinkedIn. I honestly believe it's very important to double down on this, right, with LinkedIn. I believe we can still double down. I'm sure some people are thinking to themselves, why is Hook Agency on LinkedIn so much? Like, holy shit. But that's when you want to double down. To me, it's about sharing as much value as you possibly can within a 15-minute. This one's from yesterday, and I think it's doing pretty well. So it's about the ideal working hours per week, and it's already got 1,000 views. The principles, I think, are that it's an easy, quick question to answer. People answered some people answered, right? Adventure visuals. So that's easy because I did it during camping or whatever. But something to think about, if you're on an adventure, that's the best time to record a video. I know it's not like work time normally, but I only cut out of this adventure for like 30 minutes to record 2 videos, and then I was done, and I didn't do anything else for work that whole time. So, and it's just an Instagram story. And how simple is that? Look how many views that is, 2,500. And then the watch time is at 1,700 minutes, which is 28 hours or something like that. It's a short video repost from Instagram, above and beyond for client understanding, and then out and about in action. All right.
And Tim, that video directly created an opportunity for the pipeline.
Really? See, that's nuts. That's amazing. I love it. That's a little bit more along the lines of client understanding. There's nothing wrong with trying to coordinate something like that where we can get deeper client understanding. All right. Next, that don't be an asshole video. 13.75 hours of watch time, 2,200 views. I'm sharing something a bit more personal. I will say one of the things is also, this is a longer conversation, and it ended up just being a little clip in that longer conversation. And then emojis. My favorite emojis for LinkedIn. So one says something might be funny, one indicates visually that I'm a silly goose, and one indicates it's a question and I want input, right? So it's basically, these are quick visual cues to people scrolling in their timeline that this isn't boring corporate shit. Right? Like, I think people are on LinkedIn and they assume everything's a pitch. And honestly, none of these have been a pitch yet, right? None of these have said anything much about our services. So I do want us to always remember a little bit that we're building audience, not just pitching stuff.
So this post was in regards to social media. And what you can see here is I started off like, these are questions that I've actually asked myself, like about posting on social media. Like, what if somebody makes fun of me? What if I offend somebody? What if my boss gets mad? And I think a lot of people ask these questions to themselves when they're posting on social media. And so, and then I kind of put those same emojis. So I kind of had like a combination of question, emojis on this. And then just kind of talk through like what that experience is like. And so this one had questions, it had emojis, and shared it with kind of some of these groups that I'm engaging with. And it had about 5,700 views on that. Like Tim talked about earlier, we answered to all the comments, and that's super important. This was like a personal story. This is kind of a fun time when we had 2 really big opportunities come in around the same time. And they had similar sets of questions, which was, I've got all these brands, all these companies. Do I make a bunch of websites, or do we do one big website? And they came in like a week apart, so it was kind of fun. And I took it from the perspective of, like, as a salesperson, wouldn't it be fun to sell 10 websites and then sell 20 websites? And just think of like how big the commissions would have been on something like that. But ultimately, like, that's not the right thing to do. And so I talked through, like, basically like walking through like what is the right thing to do. Even though, like, from a sales perspective, I could have, really went after it and tried to sell something much bigger that ultimately wouldn't have been the right choice. And that kind of goes in with this next post that also got a lot of traction, which was, the spicy headline. Business owners and marketers, let me tell you a little secret in the SEO game. One way to scare business owners and marketers is run their website through a technical SEO tool. Why is it so scary? Well, do it, just encouraging people, do it for yourself. And so letting people know it, like some of the scams that are going on, some of these, little tricks that these slimy SEO companies are running. My biggest posts start off with like a spicy kind of first line. And this one was, I used to hate John Solberg. And when I was a 17-year-old punk, he was my manager at a Panera Bread. So again, kind of telling a little bit of my story. And then, the reason I hated John so much is because he actually made us follow processes and procedures. He got about 55 or 5,400 views on that one. Did the same thing responding to comments. And I actually heard back from John, and he got sales from this post. I tagged Mayo Clinic, one of his customers, and I tagged his business, Pep and Manufacturing.
So I tried to break down specifically what I think it is that makes a good performing post and can distinguish it from a post that would underperform. Similar to baking, you got 3 main ingredients: flour, eggs, milk. First one, it needs to be related to your profession in some way. If you can post stuff on what's happening in the world, and sometimes it does all right, but really all of my best posts have been about things that I am doing on a day-to-day basis. I think it has something to do with people see you as one thing. So when I try to expand outside of that, specifically if I try to talk to tradespeople, those posts usually don't perform as well unless it's deeply rooted within SEO. Second one, it's got to have a clear point and communicate it effectively. So don't be wordy, be very specific with what you're saying and have a clear point. And then last one, ask a question and have some kind of call to action to get engagement. First one was kind of talking about a personal celebration in my career, talking about the first client that I ever took on, Mobile Accept, shared some data on where they were when they started, where they're at now, and then shared just an image that has very visually lays out why or how they're doing now in comparison to the year previous. Has 2,200 views, 17 comments. Most of the comments on that post were just people talking about saying, hey, congratulations, or that's really cool that you did that. I had a couple people reach out to me about doing freelance from this post, so that was fun stuff. Next one, talking about a client success story. So and it was worth $4,500 to them. And the kicker is they'd only been doing SEO for 3 months with us. So that was a fun one to celebrate. Got 1,700 views. Either celebrating something or taking a spicy take is the way to go, and then combining that with a call to action, especially if you can trigger somebody. That'll usually drive up engagement. This one had 31 comments. Can't open that for some reason. A lot of really good discourse happened, but when having a spicy take and presenting information on a topic, sometimes I will leave wiggle room for disagreement intentionally. I want someone to read the post and be like, oh, but what about this? When you do it like that, it doesn't matter. I didn't specify that we're talking about small websites here. So obviously the exception is if you're working with a massive website, a technical audit is going to be a lot more important. And leaving room for people to disagree drives comments, and then you can respond to it and clarify then, but it's going to drastically improve the performance of the post. And then the last one was the sexiest man in Minnesota. It got almost 16,000 views and 271 likes. And I think this guy was kind of the perfect storm. It's humorous, but has a very clear point. It articulates what we do very well. Anybody can understand it. I literally showed my grandma, and my grandma was like, oh, I understand what you do. If I'm ever in doubt of what to post, or I'm I want to post something, but I don't really have anything that's itching right now, I have 3 go-to formulas, I would say. Personal career celebration, something cool that's happened in my career that I can talk on, ideally having data or an image to support it. Hard lesson learned is also a really good one. A mistake that I made, why that mistake happened, and then what I'm going to do about it moving forward. And then the quick tip and hack always works really well. People like that stuff. It's really great for LinkedIn, especially if it's in what you do.